And here's how we start. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. You know, that song was written in 1968 at a time where there was so much strife and conflict that was going on in the world. There were curfews, there were riots going on in Detroit, and the imminent of the Vietnam War. And so the idea was to write a song that would bring the world together. And it did just that. And the beautiful melodic voice of Louis Armstrong was the person that they felt would be the one that would sing that song. And I love that song because it really is a song not only about beauty, but about prosperity in our own lives. Because prosperity is a state of mind. So happy day. What is the soil for your soul? When we expand our heart energy, our divine cosmic Christ connection into our world, it assists us in growing so well, compassionately. Everyday wellness becomes the direction with which our journey takes. And this gratitude and enthusiasm for the everyday experiences becomes much more. It has meaning. The field of our soul is what I call it. This expanded, infinite possibility. There is a beautiful woman named Temple Hayes, and Temple Hayes has a wonderful church in Florida. And she wrote a wonderful little book called How to Speak Unity. And that's what we're going to do today, because every one of you is part of this incredible community. And in community, this is what she says. Here we are in God's grace, seeing love on every face, holding hands and greeting eyes, no longer needing to be disguised. Welcome to this place of love and light. One presence, one power. Welcome to this place of loving life. Here we are, heart to heart, knowing now where you start. Know the truth that sets you free. Life has been waiting for you and me. Welcome to the place of love and light. One presence, one power. Welcome to this place of loving life. And that's true, because prosperity is a state of mind. And in this community, we will multiply our consciousness together. The Unity movement started with a community of like-minded people committed to growing spiritually and doing that individually and collectively. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore studied all of the wisdom traditions and teachings and embraced the East and the West and diversity of all kinds, oneness of all. That is what our universe is about. Then they moved into the prayer ministry, and as we all know, Myrtle healed herself from tuberculosis. And then it became a farm, a working farm, where they all came together and grew food, planted the seeds in order to do that, had beehives, planted orchards and orchards of apple trees, abundance of all kinds. And then Unity Village, that great home, that place where we could all go to visit whenever we put our mind to it, and sometimes in person. So I came across what I would call a recipe. And the recipe is, what are the fertile ingredients needed for your soul to grow in prosperity? And I actually found this recipe in an old cookbook of unities from many, many decades ago. And the recipe comes from a cookbook called The Happy Kitchen. And this is how it goes. Take 24 fine, wholesome, vibrant hours. Remove all memories of envy, bitterness, hatred of any kind. Cleanse and sweep away every clinging error thought. Pick off little specks of irritability and be sure these hours are freed from the hands of the past. There must be a freshness and cleansing from the hands of time, and into each hour, this is what you put: 12 parts of faith, 11 parts of patience, 10 parts of courage, 9 parts of work, 8 parts of rest, 7 parts of hope, 6 parts of loyalty, 5 parts of kindness, 4 parts of generosity, 3 parts of prayer, 2 parts of meditation, and 1 part well-selected, clearly defined purpose. Add a dash of fun, a pinch of pixie, some play, and a heaping cupful of good humor. And now you pour that into a huge kettle of love with cheer, and garnish it with smiles and a deck of joy. Then serve with quietness, unselfishness, confidence, and gratitude. Results are guaranteed to all who faithfully follow these steps. And that was written by a woman named Pearl Swallow, who was a dedicated Unity student. You see, this bounty that is possible is set in motion when we have an attitude of gratitude. And what happens when we try to make a cake or try to use a recipe for some new dinner that we're cooking? We have to set the right ingredients, or the recipe does not turn out in the way that it could turn out. And we do this in grateful community, this community. And so let us now know that that favorite recipe can be with you at any moment of any day, in any situation. Gratitude changes everything. And so we greet this day with enthusiasm, and we're going to have this heartfelt harvest together. And it is expressed through abundance. Our spiritual DNA, it's a code expressed through everything that's ever happened and for all things that have not yet arrived. It is totally grounded in the well-known affirmation that many of us in Unity know. Charles Fillmore said, in his 90s, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm to step forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. So prosperity consciousness is a quality that allows us to expand, grow in our daily lives. It is the place of confidence about our future and successful outcomes. And we are expanding that spiritual intelligence right now. And we are compelled to turn our world into this beautiful place where the entire living world is brought alive even more. So what is another prosperity secret of the ages? Well, there is actually an ancient secret for happy living, abundant living, and it is the act of blessing. This secret was embraced fully in the book of Genesis, and the Hebrew people followed this favorite method of prayer, the act of blessing. The numerous instances are repeated as they loved to voice the blessings and predicted that good would come to those who blessed. In the dictionary, there is a number of definitions. To bless means to make holy, to make whole by spoken words. To bless means to act and to ask divine favors for a condition or a situation. To bless means to wish a person or a situation well. To bless means to make happy and prosperous. And to bless means to praise. Now, how often have we criticized or condemned ourselves? How often have we criticized others? And in doing that, we brought forth more problems and more unpleasant experiences. So when we choose the act of blessing, we activate the good within. And the daily application of this could be called spiritual economics. We may have it in the form of finances, or in the form of incredible relationships, or in the term of work that is totally fulfilling. So many places spiritual economics comes into play. Our son, he lives up on the Sunshine Coast, and he loves living up there because he can live amongst the trees and do his music and also learn his carpentry skills. He was recently given a 22-foot sailboat for free, no money at all. It was in excellent shape too. It wasn't one of those derelict boats. And he had affirmed for months that he was going to have a sailboat. He blessed it, he asked for it, even before it appeared. And one day someone said, "Do you know anybody that would like a free sailboat?" He didn't know how, when, where, but it did happen, and he did get that sailboat, and he was blessed, blessed, blessed. And every single one of us today has something in their life that they would like to focus on and to bless so that it can be manifested in their world. These seemingly everyday miracles happen when we are open and receptive, and we are willing to accept our good even before it arrives. The attitude of gratitude, the bounty, we set it in motion, and we then begin to channel the golden river of riches and abundance. These divine riches come in the form of thought and emotion. And when we commit ourselves to move and breathe into the life force of gratitude, everything is blessed, and everything that comes our way can be seen as a great opportunity. Our beloved Unity minister, Eric Butterworth, who many of you have read his books, studied his teachings, he said in his book, Spiritual Economics, that the law of visualization is probably one of the most important skills that we can learn around prosperity consciousness. And it is a very important aspect in the study of truth. And everyone here is a student of truth, the truth that lives and breathes and has its being in you. Training the eyes to see through the lens of abundance. And you know, visualization is particularly effective when dealing with human emotions like worry. You see, worry is based in the belief that some undesirable condition exists. We've created it in our mind. And when we visualize with worry, the end result can interfere with manifesting what could be. So whatever challenge you are having today, whatever you are going through, bless it, even when you don't feel like blessing it. So we begin to develop our spiritual knowing, and we become willing to be in this state of divine mind every second, every moment. You know, someone told me once that knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. So be conscious of what you are putting in your prosperity recipe. Eckhart Tolle, the wonderful teacher, philosopher, writer, author, The Power of Now, he actually started his, I would say, speaking engagements at Unity churches. In fact, I saw Eckhart with a group of 25 people in a small Unity church in Nanaimo when he first started. And I've learned a lot over the years listening to him and taking in that wisdom. He actually talks about the importance of observing our thoughts. And he put it down to this: Ola, observe, listen, accept, align, and affirm. So whatever thought is coming in your mind, whatever is going on, observe it as the observer, listen. And sometimes when we listen, we hear something that maybe we don't want to listen to, but to accept it. And in Unity, we would call that a denial. And then replace it, align, and affirm what you want. So if you are having any challenges with worry or negative thinking, you can put this into practice. Observe, listen, accept, align, and affirm what you want. The great Thich Nhat Hanh did it beautifully in his global teaching. He left us a short while ago, but he was a peace activist and a poet, and he was revered for his pioneering teachings in mindfulness and global ethics. Ordained as a monk at the age of 16 in Vietnam, he envisioned a kind of Buddhism, a kind of world that directly responded to the needs of society. And he worked very closely when he came to America with Martin Luther King, and they were the best of friends. As a person who played a key role in bringing Buddhism to the West, he held mindful communities and sanghas around the world. And this is what he said: our own life has to be our message. Our own life has to be our message. So we begin the practice of blessing moments that become days, that become weeks, that become years, that become something called our life. The key to prosperity is gratitude. Gratitude. So this is a picture here of our son Brandon in one of the temples, one of the ashrams in India. He is an avid world traveler, although it has been shut down quite a bit with COVID. But here he is in a state of bliss, and he traveled and visited many of these places. And so just before he was ready to come home after being there for 6 months, he experienced the human condition. We got a call one morning that he had been in an accident on a motorcycle. Now, he's driving car most of the time, but he thought he might try one of those motorcycles. And he got on that motorcycle and he didn't know how to maneuver it in the way a motorcycle should. So you know what happened. He had a little accident. And one thing that he did learn is don't wear flip-flops when you are riding a motorcycle. So during that period of recovery before he came home, it was about 2 weeks, he was in a room by himself, isolated, having to go to the hospital every day to have the bandages changed, to have antibiotics, etc. And during that time, he had an opportunity to do his gratitude review. And lightness started to prevail. And he had some very dark moments. And we had great conversations about some of these dark moments that he had. But in the end, he began by blessing every morning with his little song. And this is a song he learned as a child, and I give it to you too today. All the little cells in my body are happy. All the little cells in my body are well. I'm so glad, I'm so glad. All the little cells in my body are well. And they are. So ask yourself right now, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? In this moment, in this second, what are you grateful for? Our Unity co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, called gratitude qualities of the soul. And prosperity thinking and being isn't a reminder about one day to celebrate gratitude, but rather every day when you wake up, put your feet on the ground and feel that impulse coming up through the ground that you walk on, and let it pulsate through your body as a mantra, as an affirmation. This is my gratitude day, and I am prosperous in all of my affairs. So let's say it together. This is my gratitude day, and I am prosperous in all of my affairs. God provides. God always provides. Spirit, cosmic Christ, Christ consciousness, whatever word you want to use, that embraces and engages you in this energy of divine mind and divine heart. There is the story of Jesus who had cast his net wide, and it really is a metaphysical lesson in our own lives today. Although that was a history lesson from well over 2,000 years ago, it is a story for us. The disciples, and really what is a disciple, is what is your spiritual discipline? So he had a couple of friends named Simon and Peter, and they were complaining and complaining and claiming that they had no fish. Well, it's easy to fish in shallow waters. That's where everybody else fishes. But what would happen if you took a deep dive? So in his teachings, he encouraged the fishermen to put their nets in deeper water. Luke said it this way, and put out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch. Are you ready for a catch? I can tell you are. I can tell you are. So bless this deep well of the divine and cast your blessings far and wide, deep in the heart of love. Prosperity is a state of mind. A few years ago, I was gifted a plane ride to Texada Island, which is a small island off the west coast of Canada. And we were going to go pick oysters. We were going to go find them. I didn't know, and I'd never really been to a large oyster bed before. So we arrived. Our friend took us down to this gorgeous beach. There was no one there. There was just the four of us who had traveled there in the plane. And here we were to actually get some oysters and take them home and fire them up and cook them up on the barbecue. But I couldn't find any oysters. And I was looking everywhere for the oysters. And finally, I said to my friend, Ken, you told me there's oysters here. Where are the oysters? He said, Janet, you're walking on them. I had it all around me, and I didn't see them. And isn't that true in our own lives? It's all around us, but we're not seeing through the lens of abundance. I think someone once said too that we can't see the forest for the trees. So however you want to put it, it's a story for our life. So when we tap in to that magic, to that place, wow, things begin to move and change. You know, this fall season is a powerful time to manifest. Moving from the fall equinox, which happened in September, the changing of the seasons into Thanksgiving and Halloween, which is also a most blessed day, and the preparation for the winter solstice in December. We want to have a full, abundant holiday season this year. We are in a very, very holy, holy place right now. And it is a very holy, holy time. You are whole. Make that your goal to express that wholeness. You are the prosperity secrets of the ages. When you are in your personal blessing place, good thoughts, good words, good deeds, that is spiritual economics, my friends. The prospering process is available. The prospering process is available. Bless, bless, bless. We do reap what we sow. Eric Butterworth in the Spiritual Economics also says in his book, abundance is not a condition, but an attitude. So consider this question. If you're ever feeling that you are not abundant in your life, in all aspects, is the glass half empty or is it half full? And how you answer that readily will give you an idea of where your prosperity consciousness is at. Little gratitude journal. I am grateful for the fact that I get to write checks out so that I can have hydro and I can have lights in my house and a internet to use. I am grateful for that. God is your source, Everything else is just a resource. Together, all our hands in the middle of the circle of love and light, prospering together. And I wanted to just end with a very first memory that I ever had of community, because sometimes recalling those moments can help us activate our prosperity consciousness, and certainly in the mind of this community. I was in grade 2, and I had befriended a new person who had arrived in my classroom. She didn't look anything like me. In fact, she didn't look like anyone else in the school. But I felt her heart. Her name was Beljeet Kent. And I felt I can be her friend. She had moved here with her family to Canada from India. And I loved her warm smile, but I could also feel that there was hesitating on her part while she tried to navigate a new school, a new landscape, a new world, a new country. And she leaned on me. And I was willing. I was willing to trust her, and she was willing to trust me in this new community that she was in. And she was my friend. You see, community can start anywhere. And prosperity in a community can start anywhere. And it started that day for me. We became inseparable. And then others joined in the we. And then 2 became a 4. And we played Foursquare together out on the playground. And then 6 became Red Rover, Red Rover. Who are you calling over? And then the 9 of us became a softball team. And then 12 became the creative expression. And all this time together in community was built simultaneously with her family. I was invited into her home, and I had my very first roti, my very first taste of curry when I was 7 years old. We did not speak the same language. We did not eat the same food. We did not listen to the same music. But I loved every minute of it. And I felt that I had a new view of community that I could count on. That's how I felt when I came in this morning with all of you, and you all arrived, and here you were, ready and willing to open your hearts and your minds. And that is something that we choose to experience. And I'm very grateful for that. So we're going to claim it. We're going to claim our good today. And so, in keeping with that, again, Mr. Armstrong. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And that's the way it really is. Thank you. Namaste. I welcome you all to the world of meditation, where we affirm our union of oneness. We begin now in a spirit of appreciation as we breathe the breath of spirit, the one life, one substance, this vital wholeness that inspires us. We enter into this connection with one another, with God, with the divine, in prayer. I am immersed in pure being, and the healing balm is flowing through me as love and manifesting in healthy relationships, in prosperity of all kinds. And I relax the mind and body with every breath I take as I go within. We find our spiritual center, achieving this oneness now, bringing this oneness into this moment. Breathing slowly and deeply, and allowing the breath of life to breathe you. And we are calmed by these words with every breath we take. Peace, peace. This is our true nature. Peace is mine and underlies every sense of wellness in this moment and in the heart of our divine nature, our divine inheritance. God is the source of peace. And centered in this divine wisdom, we trust this inner knowing. All challenges are resolved, all concerns are gone. And in the light of wisdom, we are discerning, and our intuition is activated. The path ahead becomes visible as we embrace this wisdom. And in this moment of prayer, we go into the silence for a moment. In the silence, and now the silence has words of affirmation. It is in giving that we receive. My life is blessed. My life is blessed with abundance. I am healthy and happy. I am enjoying every moment of my life. I bless every person in my life. I bless this great universe and all living things. With thanks and in full faith, I be it. Be prosperity. Centered in this Christ consciousness, we know that we are the light of the world, and this illuminating light of God is the divine source. And as we close this time of prayer and we return to our day, we remain mindful of our divine nature, and we set the intention to live in a spirit of love, gratitude, and prosperity. And we come back now to this time and place full of vital energy to do the things that ought to be done by us. And so it is.
And so it is.